everyone, and welcome back to the Destiny Awaits podcast. I am your host, Andrea John, and we took a little bit of a break without letting you know that we were going to. For that, I apologize. But this summer has been extremely full with lots going on, and I needed to prioritize a few things. So I decided to take a pause on the Destiny Awaits podcast so that I can finish working on the book for Proverbs 31, which is called In Her Image. We plan to have that out by December, so there's a lot going on around there. We also have a book coming out, God, What Are You Doing? And that's a small book that we're going to be launching. I'm probably going to have a 3-day experience with that online. And then we're going to have an online retreat at the end of the year and possibly an in-person retreat. This will be our fourth or fifth annual retreat. So there's a lot going on, and I had to prioritize because I was noticing that I had a lot of balls in the air, but no projects were finished, and I had to get some stuff finished. So that's what I've been focusing on. And then this past weekend, we were in Birmingham. The girls had a wrestling tournament, their last time wrestling together in a high school competition. It was a very fun weekend, but very exhausting. We traveled all day on Friday and then full day tournaments and then traveled back right after. So I wound up taking a bit of a break this week, but I'm here with you today because this morning I wound up doing a Facebook Live sharing something that has helped me increase my faith. I always get asked, how do I have faith even in the tough moments with everything that I've gone through? Or when I'm in the midst of something, people are like, how are you so positive? How do you have faith? Well, I've been trying to get an answer to that question over the last year or so, being intentional about thinking through what helps me have faith so that I can share it with you guys, because I want everyone to have a great quality of life and to be able to overcome trials and tribulations and to still laugh and smile and enjoy life even when things get tough. So this morning, I realized something that has helped my faith stay strong, and I shared it on this Facebook Live. So I thought I'd share it with you. I am very big into being unfiltered. I don't filter most of my stuff. If you see something filter, it's probably because it came through TikTok and there's a reason for it, and I was being intentional about using a filter. But I don't use many filters. I am who I am. Today, if you're seeing me, you'll see I have no makeup on. I just woke up, but I wanted to get this Facebook Live out on the podcast because after I recorded, I thought, this is pretty useful. So I wanted to share it with all of you listeners. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for sticking around. If you're listening to us right now, this Facebook Live was about 30 minutes, and I try to explain what I'm saying by telling the full story and building. So when I get to where I'm going, I've already built something to lay it out, which is why I didn't feel it was appropriate to write something on social media. I felt like this needs a little bit of nuance and has some nuance, and I wanted to explain myself a little bit deeper. So in the end, I hope that this helps you. Don't mind the video quality. Like I said, it was a live, and the sound isn't going to sound like what you're hearing right now, but it was good enough for me to share here. I did lose a little bit of signal for a second, so if you hear some choppiness, don't worry about it. And if you're not seeing me right now and just listening, maybe you're on a walk, you're doing something, you're busy, no need to look the video up. You're not missing a thing. So guys, this is a little bit of a break from the Sermon on the Mount. We will get there. When we get back to the Sermon on the Mount, we will be having tons of guests. So we're going to have a lineup of guests who are extraordinary people, and I cannot wait for you to meet them and to hear the gold nuggets that they have to share related to the topics within the Sermon on the Mount as we get into the latter half. So without further ado, enjoy. Hey everyone, good morning and happy Friday. I feel like you guys probably don't notice because there are still posts out there, but I feel like I have not been around as much. It was like super full for a few weeks, and then after we got back from Birmingham, I just was like mentally wasted, and I just absolutely needed a break. I was like, I need a break. So I only touched my personal computer once this week, and that was to work on my father-in-law's podcast. Other than that, I haven't done anything. So just kind of needed a little bit of a but I still try to post, because for those who like know how this stuff works, like social media, you need to stay active. You can't ever be inactive. It really affects things. So I've tried my best to like at least put something out there. And I do love to share about my family. So I have that, you know, when we were in Birmingham last weekend for the girls, I shared a little bit of a recap about that. It was a super fun weekend. First time in Alabama, so I got to check that one off the list of states I've been to. But it was exhausting because we left on Friday, drove all day. Then it was full day tournament Saturday, full day tournament Sunday, and we left right after, meaning we drove through the night and we got home at like 3:30 in the morning or something. Then we had friends passing through. They needed a place to stay, so they stayed. And yeah, and then stuff happened yesterday, and it's just like, oh my goodness. So whatever. Anyway, I have a lot of stuff that I need to do, but I haven't touched my personal computer. That's going to change this weekend because there's things that need to get done. But there is something that I was reading today. I'm part of a lot of groups, like theological type groups, and obviously Christian groups and things like that. I'm a thinker. I love to think, process things, ask questions. I'm part of groups that I don't agree with everything or a lot of what they say, but I'm a part of the group because I like to learn. I like to understand and know perspectives. I'm the type of person that listens to news that I don't agree with, because I believe that when you understand where someone else comes from, you can gain wisdom or understanding and learn and change and grow and stuff like that. So I'm that type of person. I don't feel the need to comment. Like some people go and they join groups like that and they just stir up trouble. I don't comment opposing. If anything, I'll ask a question or ask for clarification, or sometimes, you know, if I do agree with something, I'll share my perspective. But there was something that I did see this morning, and I thought, you know, it's something I've shared before. I haven't talked about in a while, and I did comment on this post, and I thought, you know, I worded it in a way where I thought, okay, this is a good one for me to kind of pop on and share, because I feel like it's not appropriate for a post. A post written can't capture nuance and stuff like that. So several years ago, I think it was either 2019 or 2020. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and check my journals. But I would, you know, I'm the type of person, I would always wake up early, you know, spend time with God, pray. It's just better for me. I'm a morning person. It's just the way I do things still today, to be honest. And I felt a whisper in my heart that said, I don't want to be your priority. I want to be your everything. And those are the words. I still remember it. Touched me very deeply, very simple, but the concept was there, very in your face, you know, like this is not about a priority thing. So while I would wake up in the morning, read the Bible, pray and all that stuff, those are all good things. Like if you have a spouse, you want to go on date nights, you have special times, it's just you and them and all that stuff, right? So that's not a bad thing. But a lot of times what happens when we get caught up in a religious world, or doing things for the sake of task, or crossing things off, doing it because you feel like you have to, obligation, you'll spend that time with God in the morning, which is a beautiful thing. But then God is not part of your day. It's kind of like, okay, that's my moment. That's my spiritual moment. And then you go off to work, or you're taking care of your kids, or you're going off to school, or whatever it is that you do. And it's almost a separation. There's a dichotomy there. You have your spiritual self, and then you have your, I'm going to use the term not spiritual self, only because I don't want to confuse terms. So what God was telling me was, I don't want you just to set the first part of your day for me. Let's use the word tithe, because that's something that a lot of people are familiar with. It's the first fruits, the first of everything. God doesn't just want that first part of you. He wants all of you. God doesn't want to just participate with you in the moments, or be with you in the moments when you can sit down and you can settle yourself and you can pray and read and worship. No, God wants to be there when you're driving, when you're at work, when you're taking a shower, when you're washing the dishes, when you're breastfeeding your child, when you're working out, when you're doing things around your house. God wants to be part of every single moment. He doesn't just want certain moments, like Sundays. In our culture, you go to church on Sunday. It's like where I live, Sundays, like between 9 and 12, great time to go shopping. So many people are off at church. You do not want to go eat at a restaurant, around noon, because everyone left church and is eating. And that's beautiful. That's a good thing. Like I'm big into take a day, and that's what the day's meant for. It's meant to have a day where you're focused on God and you're worshiping. And it's not just about Sabbath isn't just about physical rest. It's about worshiping God, having your focus on him, but also enjoying this life. If we look at Genesis and what, the day of rest, what that is, it's a beautiful thing. But God, in the new covenant after Jesus, God doesn't want, he never did actually. He doesn't just want your attention on Sunday. He doesn't just want to be with you on Sunday, and he doesn't want you to be with him only on Sunday. He wants to be with you and have a relationship with you every single day, every moment of the day, while you sleep and while you're awake, from the time your eyes open to the time they open the next day. And that simple thing completely changed a lot for me, because mentally, everything I did, I started seeing as worship to God and lordship. I believe there's a difference between being a believer who is saved by Jesus versus being a believer who has Jesus as Lord. You can be both, but you may just be one. And just because you're saved, that doesn't mean he's your Lord. Now, if he's your Lord, you're saved. But, it's his lordship. It's being under his reign that makes a difference. So I've gotten to this place in my life, for example, this moment here where I'm recording alive and I'm sharing it with you guys. To me, this is part of my relationship with God, and God is here. God is not separate from this. When I am working at my job, doing like work, this moment where I'm sharing this with you, or when I'm writing my books, or I'm working on my podcast, or I'm preaching and I'm teaching, or I'm doing a retreat, those things are not more spiritual than when I'm sitting behind my desk and working on a project at work. I see them all equivalently spiritual, because there's spiritual in everything we do. While I sit here and you see the physical me, my soul is here, my spirit is here at the same time, participating in what's happening in the physical. And if I cease to exist physically, I cease to exist, period. Right? Like we can't interact like this if my body is not present. So there's this dichotomy that a lot of people have where it's, oh, I'm in the spirit at this moment. I'm at church, or I'm ministering, or I'm being prophetic, or I'm praying. This is my spiritual moment, versus I'm at work and it's not spiritual. I don't see that separation. I believe that separation that we create. Notice that I said God is with us every moment of the day, right? Like he is with us always. But the question shouldn't be, is God with us when we're at work, when we're cleaning the house, when we're doing all these things that people don't deem as spiritual? The question needs to be, am I with God in those moments? And the reason this is so important, and this shift is so important, I'm going to explain to you why. Because so many people ask me how I have faith going through all the things I've gone through. You know, the reality is that on social media, because everything's so negative, I really have a purpose and an intention to be positive as much as possible on social media. Everything I do is to instill hope. So I'm very positive on social media. And I will say that if you don't personally know me, like you're not in my circle in terms of like living life, you really have no idea the stuff that goes on in our lives. And the people who do, or like I meet them and then, you know, they kind of hear our story, I always get asked, like, how do you have such a strong faith? Like, how do you keep that faith even when things are tough? Because we've gone through some tough moments. And that question was never easy for me to answer, because I had no, like, I couldn't articulate an answer. But it's a question that I've been trying to articulate and understand so that I can share it with people, right? Because I want everyone to have the kind of faith that I have, to be able to overcome difficulties. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I have faith. Maybe it's a gift given to me by God, but we all have faith. We've all been given a measure of faith. And I wasn't given a different measure of faith. It's just, you know, how do you nurture that faith? How do you cultivate it? How do you grow it? You know, it's just like a gift. Like, are you cultivating it? Are you growing it? Like, what are you doing? God gives us these things and we need to nurture it and take care of it. So there's this, and I've come to realize a few things, and I try to share it as I go. And there's this one thing, and this is why I wanted to share it, because when I was thinking about it this morning after that post, I thought, this is one reason why my faith is so, it's this concept of having God in everything as opposed to just first priority. Sorry, my connection's bad. I was looking to see what's wrong. Because so this is the rationale behind it in terms of how it affects faith. When you move throughout your day, when you remove the barrier, the dichotomy of there is a spiritual side of me and there is, let's use the word carnal side of me. Like there is I don't like to use the word flesh because a lot of people misinterpret flesh. So physical. So there's the spiritual side of me and there's the physical side of me, right? When you separate those two, it's very easy for God to not be part of those moments, for you not to have God as part of those moments when you're being physical. Hopefully that makes sense. Because you're separating it. You're saying, okay, in this moment, you know, I'm doing these worldly things. I'm doing these physical things. This has nothing to do with God. God's not a part of this. He's not interested with it. So let's even think about working out, you know, being physically active. exercising, when you see that as this is not a spiritual side of me, I'm focused on my physical, and you separate the two, it's very easy for you to miss God in it because your mind is not thinking that God is there, because you're not at church, because you're not praying, because, whatever the case is. But when your mind shifts and you realize, wait a second, I'm not a spiritual being in a physical body only, and I'm not a physical body who has a spirit only. I am both physical and spiritual, because that's how God created me as a human being, meaning that God created me in a way where I can commune with him always in both realms. Okay, I think there's more than one realm, but in all the realms. Then me taking care of my body is actually part of God's design. And in that design, I can commune with God. Think about Adam and Eve. I always go back to the design. How did God intentionally create the world, universe, humanity? And when he created humanity, he created Adam and Eve to work. They had to tend the land. And even still, they communed with God in that. God would walk through the garden. They would have relationship, right? So God is a part of every moment. And I think one of the reasons that I have such a strong faith is because I removed that dichotomy. I removed that division between my physical self and my spiritual self. I was able to perceive God in the mundane, not only the extraordinary. I was able to see him in the normal and the day-to-day. I was able to look for him in areas that I would dismiss if I had that division up. So I started to notice him more. I started to see him more. I started to perceive him more. And when that happens, you have, it's almost like you have no choice but to believe. How do you not believe when you see God everywhere, when you see him working in all things? That is incredible. And yes, knowing the Bible is important. Yes, worship is important. Prayer is all the things are important. But when you start to perceive, now I know people who super spiritualize everything. I'm not a fan of that. But I also believe that people have different giftings and abilities with God. And in my opinion, if you can see God in things, in the everyday, I really don't. It'll make your life better. In my opinion, your quality of life will improve. Your faith improves. What I caution with those who super spiritualize is a lot of times there's more a sense of evil than good. So if you're seeing evil everywhere, demons everywhere, the devil operating in everything and all that stuff, that's what I would caution you, because the reality is, in my opinion, based on what I see in scripture, there is more good than bad. So if your percentage of bad is more than good, I think you need to question, not the discernment. You need to, you have to be aware, you have to be willing to open your eyes to see the good. Look for God in the matter. So if there's a difficult when I go through bad things, how do I have faith? And this is me processing now, trying to figure out how to articulate. When I'm going through a difficult situation, it's really, really tough, right? It's easy for the difficulty, because of the pain, the anger, and all this stuff, for you to focus on those things, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend I don't talk about things. I do talk, when I need to talk through something, I talk with my mom about it. I talk to Mike, I talk about bad things. It's not like I don't. I acknowledge reality. I don't ignore reality. I absolutely acknowledge reality. But I'm always looking for, what is God saying about it? What does God want to do? What is God's heart in the matter? Where does God want me to go? What would he do? And when you set your mind on those things, set your mind on what's pure, what's noble, what's good, what's holy, you start to see God more because your focus, your eyes are on that. Like, that's where your target is. Your target is on God. Yeah, evil's working, and you can't be oblivious to the evil. You can't ignore the evil because you won't know how to combat the evil if you ignore it, right? But it's kind of not my responsibility to figure out how to overcome it. I ask God for wisdom to overcome it, and then he helps me. Now, my brain works. I have intelligence. God gave us intelligence for a reason. God gave us logic for a reason. God gave us community for a reason. We have lawyers to help us. We have doctors to help us. Like, we have a whole community of people that God has given us to leverage. And there's a moment where, yes, prayer is the only way. And then there's moments where there's action that needs to be taken. And we need to pursue that wisdom from God to understand, when do I stay still? When do I act? When do I move? And even when something's not working in your favor, or you're being attacked, persecuted, whatever the case is, you're sick, you're scared, you're waiting for a miracle that hasn't been happening, and those things are difficult and they're hard. We need to renew our minds so that what we're thinking about, and I'm sorry that I'm looking away from the camera. It's just, it's me thinking. Like, I'm literally staring at a wall that my husband built because I'm thinking. It's just easier for me. So you renew your mind, and you need to train yourself to think on those things that are from above, and set your mind on, okay, this is what I know about God. God wants this, God wants that. Okay, God, help me to understand. Show me, where are you in all of this? And when you start to focus your mind on God more and bring him into every aspect of your life, not just those moments of prayer and Bible study and stuff, you'll start to naturally have more faith, because you're gonna see him everywhere. Like, I see God in all things. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but I'm gonna say, like, I have a very easy time doing it now, but it's been years. Like, I think God spoke that to me, and I'd have to go back and look, like 2019, maybe 2020, but I feel like it was before that. May have been when I was in the Creekview house, so that would have been 2019. And it changed my life, and it's become a lot easier. And I really think that's why I'm more like positive, even when I'm going through a hard time. I cry, I've gotten mad, I've gotten upset. It doesn't negate the feelings that come with trials and tribulations. But when you have true faith, a strong faith, and you're anchored in him, even with all those feelings, like, there's not that desperation, that hopelessness. Like, I've felt that hopelessness, that darkness. I've been there. I've felt that. It's miserable. I hate it. I don't want that for anybody. So even when you're in that dark moment, and actually, what was it? 2022, I had that feeling briefly, because something happened that was it was just so dark, and it, like, kind of blew my mind. And I spent a weekend in bed crying. Like, that's how bad it was. But I was able to get out of it really quickly. Because I'm also naturally a solution driven person. So, there's that. But yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you guys, because it's really changed my life. It's one of the reasons why my faith is so strong, and I realized that this morning. So I wanted to pop on here and share that with you. I hope that this helps you. If you're someone like me, you get up early in the morning, you read the Bible, you pray, you need, like, I need those moments with God, like, where it's just me and him, and I pray. I need it. It's, it's not an obligation for me. I literally need it. But that's the thing. It's not a task for me. It's not like an obligation. If I miss a day for whatever reason, I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel like, oh, I failed today, or, oh, I'm not spiritual enough, or whatever the case is. Absolutely not. Because everything I do, I see as I'm doing it with God. It's a moment of worship for me. Everything is a moment of worship for me. It's my heart posture. I think about God all the time, and everything that I do, there is no separation between him and I. I remove the separation. So I guess I would say, like, if you're someone who does these things and sometimes or all the time or whatever you're going through right now, if you feel like there is a separation between you and God, what I want you to know is that it's not coming from God's side. So I want you to look at your life, and I want you to ask, like, have you put up a wall that you maybe didn't realize? Like, I'm not saying this in a way where it's like you put up a wall. No, sometimes things happen in our lives that put up walls. We didn't mean to be there. We didn't want to be there. Almost like we didn't choose it. But things happened in our lives that caused us to be guarded or to lose faith. Like, especially if you're someone who's been church hurt and you tied that back to God, you know? So I want you to look at yourself, look at your life, your mindset and stuff, and ask, like, have I put up this wall of separation? Because the reality is God has not separated from me. When Adam and Eve sinned, God didn't separate from them. As a matter of fact, he went looking for them. They're the ones who went and hid. Why? Because of shame. So that's one place I want you to go look at. Is there any shame in your life? Because I know when I separated myself from God during this a time years ago when I was like in my darkest moment, I had separated myself from God because I thought God wanted nothing to do with me. So just analyze that and look and just know that God has not separated from you. He's right there with you all the time, and he wants to be a part of every single moment of your day. So live your life in a way where you can stand before God open-hearted. I'm telling you, your quality of life will change substantially. You're going to treat people so much better. You're going to feel better about yourself. And you're also not going to allow people to disrespect you and to walk all over you, because you're going to have a confidence within you, because you're going to know, like, if God is pleased with me, then I'm good. And the only way you can say that is if you can stand before God completely open-hearted. And the goal is to do that every single moment of the day, every minute, from the moment you lie down to the next day when you go lie down. Like 24 hours, 7 days, every single day, live an open life with God. I'm telling you, you will live the best quality of life regardless of the circumstances around you. So Charterbox this morning, that is your Friday message. I hope this blesses you. If you have any questions, or you're like, practically, what does it look like? Or you want to run a situation by me? Like, sometimes just talking through things is the best thing. I have no issues. I may not respond to you right away. My message box is like so full right now. I think I have like 20 messages that I still have to get to. But if you need to, like, reach out to me, ask questions, comment below, whatever, my goal in life is to help you live a life of purpose and improve your quality of life so that you can love life. Because listen, I'm just going to leave it here. A lot of Christians talk about, like, oh, you need to hate your life. And there's that verse that people leverage. We have to put things in proper context. God created you for a reason, and he has you here for a purpose. So if you do not like your life, if you hate your life, if you hate being here on earth, and your whole goal in life is to end this life so you can go to the next, I'm telling you right now, you're not living your life to the fullest, and you're not living your purpose, because your focus is on ending your life. So how can you live your life if your focus is on ending it? I just think about it. Just think about it. We have to ask ourselves, like, God created us. Did he create us? Did he love us enough to create us and form us and give us a purpose so that we would hate it? Like, why do we hate something that God created? Why have we been taught to hate our bodies, to hate humanity, to hate this earth when God created it? I don't get it. I mean, I do, because I believed that for a long time because I was taught it, but I had never thought through it. So now I'm posing questions to get you to think through it. Just think through it. I don't want to tell you what to believe. You can believe whatever it is that you want, but I'm here to cause you to ask the question, seek the answer, seek, and you will find. All right, guys, have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Enjoy. And don't forget to take your moment with God. Making God your everything doesn't mean you neglect those date nights. If you have a date night with your significant other, or you hang out with your friends, you should do it with God too. Same concept. Love you guys. Bye.